Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Pluto, which, I always say, if you're a Western astrologer, they blame everything on Pluto. And here in Vedic astrology, they say you can't use Pluto, but we know better than that. Pluto gives major results. So before I continue on with that, I'd like to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter. Go to galacticcenter.org, and there you can sign up and get all of my predictions delivered every week to your email address. Also, check out my new Patreon page. If you want discounts and you want exclusive information, join Patreon. I am going to be giving incredible discounts and exclusives, uncensored information. You can't get it anywhere. All right, so check that out. You're gonna love it. Okay, so continuing on about what I want to say about Pluto. So many astrologers have been talking about the fact that Pluto is about to return in the United States chart. Yes, it is. It takes Pluto approximately, give or take a few years, 245 years to go through all 12 signs of the zodiac and return to where it was. So to cover all of the zodiac, it's about 245 years, give or take a year, depending on the cycle. So here's the thing. The United States of America, when it began on Independence Day, July 4th, 1776, it's been about 245 years. So what does it mean when a planet returns back to its position that it was in your chart? All of our planets are going to do that. You've heard of the Saturn return taking 28 to 30 years. You've heard of the Jupiter return taking about 12 years. What that means is it takes that amount of time for the planet to go through the entire zodiac. And so therefore it goes through the whole zodiac and returns to where it was when you were born. That's what those returns are about. So we're experiencing this for the United States chart, in other words. And Pluto is the planet that deals with what? Major transformation. It's pretty much the planet that can deal with death as well. So it's the death of an old way and the beginning of a new way. It's a birth. It's a transformation. That's what they call it. And this is what the United States is about to go through. By the way, I wanted to show everybody, I wrote a book exclusively on Pluto. You can get it off my website. It's on Amazon. And Pluto: Control, Power, Surrender, and Rebirth. And I say it's a Neo-Vedic approach simply because some Vedic astrologers don't use the outer planets, but I'd say a good amount of them do. They absolutely work, but they are in effect in a birth chart. They deal more with the collective unconscious. They deal with the collective of everyone and how that affects us personally. It's a huge, big deal. So Pluto, which can deal with everything that the 8th house is about. So those of you that don't know astrology, let me tell you what the 8th house is about. And it is everything Pluto is. It is the house of death, number one. That's what you learn first off, and that's what scares everyone to death. So it is the house of death. But death is simply one of the transformations we make in a lifetime. So therefore, it is also the house of rebirth. So it can deal with birth, death. It deals with any big change we go through in a lifetime. But actually, the 8th house deals with what's beyond this world because it deals with death and going beyond this world. So this is Pluto energy too. Why do I say Pluto's affiliated with the 8th house? Because in Western astrology, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto And Scorpio is the 8th sign relative to the 8th house. But in Vedic, we don't give the rulerships to the outer planets, the 3 outer planets. Don't worry about that. That would screw up the system. But aside from that, I have my way of doing it. And that's what's in this book. And I also wrote a book on Neptune and a different one on Uranus. So if you're interested in how to use the outer planets in Vedic astrology, look at those books. They're very, very detailed. I really love this one. This one is one of my all-time favorites. You'll see when you get it, because I go into all sorts of transformational events that have happened throughout our time. But most of all, Pluto, since it deals with death and deals with what's beyond this world, it deals with intuition, psychic ability. It deals with how we create the biggest changes in our life, which can deal with what? Psychology, psychoanalysis, research, getting to the core and the bottom of things. All of that is 8th house, and all of that is Pluto. So looking at Pluto returning to where it was when the United States was formed. And this is what the US, the United States of America, stands for. You see, the people were trying to escape Europe for the heavy taxation and the extremes with religious controls. And that's why they came to the new land, to escape all that. And of course, here comes the British and here comes everyone else trying to still control it. But the United States created its own democracy. And what that's all about is freedom from all the things in Europe. And basically, what kind of happened when they were, putting together the Declaration of Independence, they stated all these things that they wanted. And that was freedom for religion and freedom of power and to run our own country the way that, we deemed correct. So what's happened is, I believe, we've gotten away from all of what it was formed on. And yes, there's freedom of religion here, but sometimes you get these religions that try to control everything again. People trying to control things. The United States is the free world. That's what it's supposed to be. So guess what? Everything's kind of gotten out of control, where everybody's trying to control everyone. And what does Pluto mean? Control. Yes. So what happens when you feel like you're being controlled by something? You go crazy and you want to break free. But what ultimately happens when you feel like you can't get control of things, you got to sometimes surrender. And this is what I'm seeing. I am seeing that the United States is going to return to where it was before. And the beginning, because that's what a return is. But for right now, I want you to know something very important, and that is that Pluto is about to station. And hold on, I'm going to pick this up. So it turns direct. So it's standing still right now, and it's going to turn direct October 11th. At 4 degrees of Capricorn. So the reason why I'm bringing this out is when a planet stations in its process of turning direct or retrograde, right? So here's, planets going around the sun, and when a planet apparently seems in its spatial orientation to Earth, it seems like it's going backwards because of the rate of speed of the two planets. Now we know everything's circling the sun, but in our process, they appear from planet Earth to go backwards. And in this process, going forward and back, when they turn direct, in other words, from going retrograde and then they turn direct, they apparently stand still in the process of shifting. And also when it is turning retrograde from direct, it appears it stops. This happens twice a year, okay? Pretty much. And Pluto will go retrograde about every 5 months. So you're going to find that there's a stationing to go retrograde and there's a stationing to go direct. So we have Pluto stationing to turn direct October 11th at 4 degrees of Capricorn, which means whenever a planet stands still, its energy and what it expresses, what it is truly all about, becomes more prominent in the world. So Pluto, about change and transformation, the month of October, look out. It's intense. And we're being reminded constantly around the world about Pluto issues being controlled, whether it's communist, socialist, or democratic, whatever. There is more and more control being put on to different countries by power-hungry leaders. But let me say we're going to start seeing some things heat up October 11th, and Pluto energy is going to get stronger, and we're going to realize where we're headed with the Pluto return. That happens in 2024 and 2025 for the United States. It will be that the United States will be reminded and go back to the way it was when they formed the United States of America. Now, I have one more thing to say about this. There is a solar eclipse in April of 2024 that goes right through the center of the United States. As a matter of fact, it goes dead through Dallas, Texas, where I'm living. And what I foresee with that, from that point on, starting in April, all the way till the end of the year of 2024, we're going to feel like the United States is splitting apart with the beliefs. It already is, but I'm saying more so. There's so many people that are contentious and being split, and I wouldn't be surprised if some of the states took over jurisdiction for themselves, separating themselves somewhat from the Union. That's what I see happening. And this Pluto hopefully in its transformation will find solid ground to return it all to what the United States was built on, formulated, its beginning. Let's return to that. So we're going to see a lot of changes to come. So with that, I think I'll close. If you would like more information on me and about my Patreon site or my free newsletter, go to galacticcenter.org, as well as remember, if you want to learn Vedic astrology, I have an incredible school, all online, self-paced. You can join anytime. Go to universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.